maybe a bit of introduction before I start so that you understand my background and who am I to talk to you. Basically, I come originally from Hungary. That's where I was living my life for 20 years. And then I started my journey of traveling around the world. I lived in 7 countries. I have 2 beautiful children, and my family, we live in Malta right now in the last 10 years. And by the way, I love Madeira, so it's a beautiful place to live as well. I'm considering that now that I'm here.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful place to be. And I was very, very small, around 6 years old, when I realized that I want to become a bus driver. And the reason why I wanted to be a bus driver is because there was this bus driver who took me many times to the city center in my hometown, let me in to his space where he was driving, to open the doors each time I entered to the bus. He was my hero. And ever since I've been being conscious about my life, I was always looking up to someone or something. I was always inspired and looking for people who were giving me something which is coming deep from their heart. So after realizing that I want to be a bus driver, then I met a shepherd, because we had a weekend house in the countryside where I spent usually most of the weekends with my family. And there was this guy who was taking care of the cows on the field. And I was so much in love with this guy. I went there and we became very good friends, and he was my next inspiration. So I went home with great happiness to tell my parents that, Daddy, I'm going to be a shepherd. And then the shepherd told me to make sure to bring wine to him. So I just, brought some wine to him to make him happy. And then after, as the years passed, I always was, again, inspired by something higher than what I ever thought I can be. And at age 7, I started to practice something which has changed my life. I became a gymnast, because my parents couldn't take care of my so big energy which I have. And they thought that I need to do some sports. So they put me into gymnastics, which was my first love story in my life. And I was living between these 4 walls for about 13 years. That was my life. That was my childhood. That was my everything. And that was, at the time, little I know, but that was my preparation for life itself. Because I learned so much which without I wouldn't be able to accomplish all those things which now I did. And one of those things which I, looking back, appreciate the most are these virtues which I'm going to teach you guys as well, and hopefully we're going to reflect upon this. One of those virtues which I highly recommend to work on yourself is always perseverance, for example, or believing in yourself, having a direction in your life, always focusing within rather than blaming others in the outside world. Do you guys know about gymnastics? Have you seen gymnastics or done gymnastics? So you know that gymnastics is a tough sport, and it's between you and this apparatus which you go on. There are 6 apparatuses: floor, pommel horse, rings, vault, parallel bar, and high bar. My favorite was high bar. I became national champion for many years. I traveled around the world with the national team, and what I really learned about gymnastics and performing is that it all depends on me. So I went on the stage, and there was nothing else existed, just me and this apparatus. And I had maximum 1 minute to prove what I've been day and night practicing for 10 years. So one slight mistake and you are on the floor because you miscalculated something, or you can get very easily injured. In fact, because of gymnastics, I hurt myself so many times. That's how I ended up into yoga and later on became a yoga teacher, which I'm doing for the rest of my life because that's my greatest love of my life nowadays. And thanks to gymnastics and thanks to all my injuries, I ended up into healing myself from all those injuries through yoga. And thanks to this journey, I don't know if you've seen or read the book from Dan Millman, The Peaceful Warrior. Highly recommend to everyone. By the way, those two people here in front who came with notes and writing notes, those are very much appreciated if you want to get a piece of paper and to make notes, because maybe there are some things you can take with you home. So, The Way of the Peaceful Warrior, this book was given to me by my uncle at the time, at the age of 12, and that was about a gymnast who meets with a guy at a petrol station who is an old man, and this old man starts to basically teach this superstar gymnast who is all over the place, very selfish and knowing everything, and he starts to say, who you are, you know, old man, you try to teach me, the champion. But there's something happens with this gymnast. He got an accident, a motorcycle accident, he crushed his leg, and basically he named this old man after Socrates, who starts to actually teach him that this life is not about what is outside, but this life is what is deep inside of yourself, and everything is possible. So I read this book at age 12, and this was my first true spiritual awakening, my first journey of understanding that this life is not about competition, it's not about being the best, but rather finding my true self within myself. And beside this, my uncle showed and gave me this book. He told me that, Balazs, if you want to become a champion, you need to learn something very important. And I just listened to him because I felt so much connected, just like the bus driver, just like the shepherd. I was so much connected to my uncle by then. And he pulled me over and took his house and he said, now I'm going to teach you this, but you need to promise me that you will practice for the rest of your life. And I said, okay, I will do that. And he taught me about meditation. And ever since I'm practicing meditation, which I do suggest to all of you, no matter what your spiritual practice is, but if you learn how to meditate, then you will be able to transcend beyond your limitations, beyond all which keeps you stuck and imprisoned in your own mind. Because throughout our growth of self-realization and throughout our growth of understanding what is this life about, the mind becomes so strong and so selfish that it can easily keep you imprisoned and basically can hijack you, your true self, which is not your mind. Your truth is, as we all know, hopefully, is this light within ourselves, which we call the soul. And the mind and the soul, not necessarily good friends. The mind likes to be the boss, you know? And if this boss takes over your life, then you become distorted and not going to understand what the true essence of this life is. And this mind became very strong to all of us because through our socialization, through our growing up, we need to become strong, we need to survive, we need to learn the law of nature. we need to be protected. So that's why the mind, which is part of who you are, is very important to be strong. But there needs to be a time when the mind gives in and recognizes the power of the soul. This is a transition. And if this transition is not happening, then you are stuck within your mind and going through a loop downhill, because you will be the center of your pain. And you will develop a very strong pain body for the rest of your life. A pain body which wants more pain, more self-justification, more seeking that you're right and everyone else is wrong, pointing fingers, being stuck in the past, or looking into the future but never being in the present moment. Highly recommend another good source of book, The Power of Now, from Eckhart Tolle. He talks very, very nicely about this pain body. So, going back to this meditation, I truly believe that if you don't know how to find your inner peace and how to be in silence, then you're never going to find the true essence within yourself, which is that soul. And there is a beautiful saying that God's greatest language is silence. And if you look around in the world, everyone is continuously want to blurry this silence. We always want to listen the radio, listen the news. We always want a buzz around us. We get anxious if there is silence, which is the greatest sickness of today's society. Everything is fastened up so much that nowadays we do not even consider the importance of sitting down, and as my master Balazs says, bring thyself to account each day. What does that mean? Bring thyself to account each day. That we need to sit down and find our inner peace and reflect upon our lives. We all knew, or we all experienced in our life when this airplane is shooting up to the sky. And in the beginning it can be very shaky, right? Because there is the wind, the blurriness, the clouds, and you don't see much. But then when we achieve that the plane goes beyond the clouds, everything becomes very much clean and peaceful. And then they start to serve the food, right? So the same things with our life, you know? Our life is like being under the clouds and identifying ourselves with these clouds, with our thoughts, which are continuously coming and going, all the time. Millions of thoughts passing. And as long as we are just identifying ourselves with all the labels which we create to ourselves, that I'm a yoga teacher, I'm Balazs, I'm this, I'm that, you're limiting yourself. But as soon as we become the observer of this doer, as soon as we become that airplane which go beyond the clouds, and you can just observe all your thoughts, then you master your life. And then you can surrender to the sun. As Balazs says, that we are like a perfect reflection of the sun. We are like the mirror. And our mirrors, which our souls are, need to be connected towards the sun in order to reflect the rays of the sun. But if that mirror is not cleansed, then there's no reflection. And that's why when I say, when you hear people saying that God is within you, it's true. God is within all of us. Because if I look in that mirror, what do I see if it's clean? I see the sun, right? But if your mirror is not clean, it's dirty, distorted, or it's not even reflecting towards the sun. It's impossible to see God in yourself. So, number one, first we need to recognize this higher consciousness, God, the universe, whatever you call it, doesn't make any difference. The sun. And then, once we recognize that, then we need to make sure that we keep our connection and keep our love affair with it. Because if it's only recognizing, it's very limiting, right? You know how love is. Everyone, I hope, who sit here knows true love. Love is something which needs to be nourished. And if you love your partner, the most important thing you must do is to keep that love circulating within yourself and the other person. It's an ongoing circulation. It's an energy field between these two souls. Now, if you think about it, what happens if you're neglecting your partner? If you're not talking to your partner? Your love is diminishing. So why do you think that between humans, if this love is diminishing, if we are not taking care of, it's different between you and the divine? Your connection with the divine, just as a connection to another human being, just is so much more powerful in a way. Because God is always and always shining His love on you. It's like the sun right now. I can feel the light coming in. And even when it gets dark, the sun is still shining, right? You can look up to the sky and you see these beautiful stars, which are the greatest examples that the sun is always shining. So whenever you are in dark places in your life, whenever you feel that you are lost, or whenever you feel that, why me? Always remember that your love affair with the sun is always there. You just need to be open. And you just need to do your daily spiritual practices. In yoga we say sadhanas, which are inevitable in order to keep this relationship alive. Yes, like me doing gymnastics. I was doing it every single day, 3, 4, 5 hours. I didn't care if it was Christmas, it was New Year. The next day I was in the gym training and working. And I didn't care if I don't feel like doing it. I'm too tired. Poor me. I just do my work. And then, many times throughout my training, which I noticed, that's when I stopped listening to my mind and identifying myself with my mind, because my mind told me so many times that you're too tired, you shouldn't go, there's no point in going, but I still went. And then, many times, those days were my greatest trainings. I just told myself, okay, today I'm not going to train for 3 hours. This is how I was negotiating with my own mind. Okay, I just go for half an hour, just to tick the box. I went in, and after half an hour, I was like a monster. I was ready to change the world. And I was like so much on fire, I couldn't stop training. The same thing with my morning practices. I never miss a yoga class. Or if I cannot do yoga, I do something, exercise. I need to move. Because my body is created to move. And for everyone. It's not just for me. We are all human beings with 2 legs and 2 arms. And we need to move our body. You know, change requires energy, and everything is continuously changing in your life. So if you're just sitting down and poor me and watch the TV and listen all the negativity in your life, does it make it better for you? Because it's definitely not going to change your life, and it's not going to change any other people's life. So if you are living your life within your spirit, you must realize that we have a purpose here. We all have a purpose. Every single soul I'm seeing right now, the reason why you breathe is because you still have a purpose in this reality, which is a beautiful dance between our spiritual existence and between our physical reality. It's a beautiful dance. Do you like dancing? I love dancing. I also teach salsa. That's how I met my wife. Because dancing for me is a way of expressing something that is unlimited, unconditional. There's a quote from Bruce Lee who says, "Be water, my friend. Become shapeless, formless, like water. Wherever you pour the water, it gets that shape. This is how you are. If you are thinking that you are this piece of flesh and bone, then of course you will be very much limited. If you believe that you are the soul, if you believe that you have unlimited potentials in this life, you can flow and dance with whatever comes and whatever goes. Just do not identify yourself with anything, and do not be attached to those things. Just flow like those clouds. And one thing which we need to also realize, that this transformation which is happening within every single soul, it's gradual. You know, we in yoga talk a lot about the purpose of yoga is enlightenment, samadhi, which is the last stage of the 8 steps of purification, the 8 steps of reaching the highest goal of yoga. But I believe that enlightenment is a daily practice. Yeah, we need to be enlightened every day with those daily practices which I talk to you about. If you don't do your work, how can you achieve anything in life? Nothing comes by chance. Everything is there for a purpose. Cause and effect, karma. There are 4 paths to God, according to yogic philosophy. The 4 paths of yoga. Number 1 is called Dhyana Yoga. Dhyana Yoga is the yoga of knowledge. Knowledge. What do I mean by that? If you want to gain access to the Word of God, you need to make your ultimate effort to learn about it. You know? If I want to become a gymnast, I need to find a gymnastic coach. If I want to run the marathon, I need to find a trainer who gives me a plan how I can reach that. I don't need to figure it out by myself, right? When you get a TV, you get a manual how to use it, right? Now guess what? God has also given you a manual, but you didn't ever read it, or you don't read it enough. These manuals are the holy writings of God, which were flourished upon humanity throughout the history of mankind. This is available for all of us through the manifestations of God from the beginning till eternity. We are always guided by the holy writings. Now, how much you are fascinated about It depends on how much effort you put in it. Because once you start to read, in the beginning, it's difficult because you don't understand the word. I met the Baha'i writings when I was 20 years old. I lived in the United States at the time, and I met, by coincidence, if you believe in coincidence, I was living right next to a Baha'i temple. And there are only 7 in the world at the time. What a coincidence, right? So I met these Baha'i writings and I couldn't believe that it's so much what I always believed in, that there is one God and all the religions of God is coming from the same source. An independent search for truth, that you need to find God and you need to keep that connection alive. It's upon you. Wow, this is amazing. And then you meet all those Baha'is and you feel that, wow, these people are so much powerful. So powerful people. So much living their life from the heart. I was always attracted from the time of the bus driver to be connected to people who are real, who are living from the heart, from the soul, and who open up to you. I was always interested in soul-to-soul connections because I was always very much a curious guy. I wanted to know. That's how I became a life coach, by the way, because I'm fascinated about people's life. So no matter where I'm traveling, by the end of the journey, if I'm on the plane, usually I know the life of next to me, of all those people. And it becomes like a beautiful coaching session, because every person who you meet is a living book with full of philosophy, full of experience and knowledge. And you are just missing out, you know? You are missing out if you are not being open and not wanting to understand what is history. Because every single person who you meet is the son or daughter of God, you know? And they are all going through the same struggles as you are. The difference is in different circumstances. But we all come and we all go. This is just a very short station of your life. Maybe 50, maybe 70, maybe 100. These are just numbers. The question is, are you prepared? Did you understand that this life is the life of the spirit and not the life of the body and not the life of the mind? And if I understand that this is the life of the spirit, then I know this life is eternal. And if I understand this life is eternal, then I also understand that I need to prepare myself for the next station. You know? Because everything which I have in this life right now is very much grained into the material world. And therefore, we have the tendency to be attached to it. And it's okay. It's okay to enjoy your food. It's okay to enjoy money. It's okay to enjoy marriage and your children and everything, but remember always that everything will go. You will be always that soul who stays with you. Everything else go. So you need to prepare yourself. Are you ready to die? Did you ask this question to yourself? Are you ready if tomorrow you need to go to really expand and leave everything behind? In fact, I suggest everyone to live your life as today is your last day. So when you wake up in the morning, you jump out of your bed and you say, God, I'm going to change the world today. And stop complaining about all your shortcomings, all your barriers which you have within yourself, because this life is not about you. If it would be by me, only about me, which I had that stage in my life, which was all about me. I was probably the most selfish person in this whole group, because it was all about me. There must be a time when you grow out of it. There are 3 stages in people's life. First, it's my understanding at least, okay? First stage, from our birth till the self-realization of the next one. The first stage is where we are developing our capacities, physically, mentally, spiritually. So, and this usually it's this is till adolescence, till we become really conscious. We develop all the capacities so that we can live in this material world, as I mentioned earlier. So we develop all our understanding, we learn different fields of interest so that we can make a living and be healthy and so on. But then there is a stage when we realize that this life is not about myself. This life is the life of everyone, and I'm part of the whole. Do you know Rumi, a mystic point from Persia? He's one of my favorite. He says, "You are not one drop of the ocean, but you are the ocean in that one drop." What a big difference. So the first stage is developing my capacities to understand how to survive in the material world. The second stage is when I start to look for answers, because you had everything which you needed. You have your stability in the material world, right? But then you feel still something is missing. So this second stage of your life is searching for the truth, searching for God, searching for the divinity within you. This is when we are moving from lower self to higher self. So this is the process of looking for the truth. For people, it can be lost for the whole life. Do you know those people who are always looking for spirituality, looking for truth, and they are going from one training to another, one workshop to another, one book to another, and they are just jumping like a frog to one place to another, but never commit. They think that by going on a workshop like this, they know everything. But this is just collecting information. Knowledge is not enough. And the second stage, when we are collecting knowledge, it's very important but not enough. And until we don't realize that knowledge means nothing unless it put into practice and becomes wisdom, which gives you understanding, which gives you the realization about what true life is, you're stuck again in your mind. So you develop further your ego. Ego, E-G-O, edge got out. In short forms. So see you guys.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Nice, very good.
So the third stage, by the way, the second stage, in psychology, they say midlife crisis. You heard this probably. Midlife crisis is the one where people are trying to understand what is the true purpose of my life. Third stage is when we realize the truth. When we are we realize the sun, and we are connected to the sun. And we realize that my purpose is serving humanity. And through my service, I can bring change in the world. No matter how small or how big you are. You know? So, this third stage is where you truly prepare yourself from this eternal journey towards the light. And the good news, which I need to tell you all, which I keep myself encouraged every time, is that in spiritual reality, there is always only progression. Maybe the progression is not going to go that fast, Maybe it slows down a bit, but it's not like in the material world. In the material world, we are like this, ups and down, roller coaster. And then we can hit the bottom. But in the spiritual reality, if we transcend in our daily life, you don't need to go through that anymore. You stop arguing with people. You stop trying to justify yourself and ask for other people approval. How self-worthy you are, because you know deep down that you have everything you need, and you were given everything for you to be your best version of who you are. So these 3 stages are present in everyone's life. The question is, where are you with your life? Have you recognized the true purpose of your life? And if you have recognized it, are you fulfilling your mission in this life? Are you reading the manual? And I'm going back to my first thought about the 4 paths of God, which was first one, the yoga of knowledge. See, they are making notes. That's why they know. The yoga of knowledge. So remember that in the Baha'i teachings, we are told to read the holy writings every morning and every evening. Why? I have a lot of things to do. Why should I read? So that I become knowledgeable about the life of the Spirit, which you are, which is eternal. So guess what? It's an eternal investigation of the truth. But if you're not putting your effort in it, that soul is not going to be revealed in your daily life. It's not going to shine through because you're not going to be conscious about it. It's not that you're not going to be spiritual. Many times I hear, I'm sorry, I'm not spiritual. What an illusion is that? We are all spiritual. It's not that I was lucky enough that I'm spiritual. I'm lucky enough that I do this and do that in my life. This is my choice. Your life is your testimony. Yes? If you are in pain, do something about it. If you have any troubles in your life, investigate and find the solutions to everything. Because no one else will do it for you. The world is cruel. Can be cruel. Because this physical world, which we were pushed into in the time of conception, that's when our soul associated with this material world, we came here, believe it or not, to suffer. So why are you so upset if something is painful? Just understand, this world, you are here to suffer. Welcome into my life. Just read the teachings of Buddha. But Buddha also says that there is an end of suffering. Isn't it promising? So, if there is an end of suffering, then I want to know how. How can I end that suffering? And in my realization in my life was that moving into that 3rd stage which I told you. I realized that it's not my body. My body can suffer, my mind can suffer, but my spirit, my soul is untouchable. Yes? So, whenever you are in a dark place, for me, whenever I am in a dark place, it's a realization that I'm not taking care of my soul. I'm too much focused about what's going on in this material world. So go into your solitude. Go into nature. Do your daily meditation and prayers. do all your spiritual practices. And if you don't know how, what do we need to do then? Learn from your masters. Learn from your teachers. Be inspired. Those people who are on fire. You know? So that you will achieve so much more than you could ever believe in your life. So make your steps beyond your own limitations. Second path to God is called Bhakti Yoga, which is the yoga of devotion. Remember I talked to you about love affairs? That our greatest love affair is with God. Now that is this path. It's the emotional path towards the divine. It's not enough if I'm learning and studying and understanding through here. This is the most difficult way actually to connect, because the mind is really much giving in very, very... it takes a long time that the mind ever gives in for something higher than itself. But when you choose the path of this devotion, which you are lucky enough that you have a person like Nabil, whose songs inspired me so much and made me actually to contact him, that I want to work together with him so that I can do a retreat in Madeira. The love of this divine comes through devotion. You are devoting yourself, you surrender, you kiss the feet of your master. This is called devotion, selflessness. Through music, through prayers, through silence. This we need to practice. Just like you go to the gym or wherever you go to keep your muscles and your body healthy, we need to do the devotion to God to keep our soul healthy. The soul needs nourishment just like your body or just like your mind. If you're not taking care of the soul cannot shine through. So this is called Bhakti Yoga. That's why we pray. I was raised as an atheist. Okay? When someone mentioned God, I already disappeared. I was running to the opposite way. Okay? So this is how my background was when I met first the Baha'i teachings. But I always wanted to understand what's going on, what is beyond this. And I was so thirsty to understand. When the right time arrived, I surrendered. And whatever it was written in the Baha'i writings, I just followed. And one of the craziest teaching for me was to pray every day. And that was very painful. You know why it was very painful for me? Because I thought that prayer is for the sick people who are very weak. And for those people who are wasting their time. Because I was so proud of myself. And this ego was so huge that it didn't give space to that spirit within myself. So in the beginning, when I started to pray, it didn't really feel right. But something happened throughout the weeks passing, month passing, and this transformation is happening. And now, the most powerful thing in my life is prayer. Me, the atheist. Yeah? So I love to speak to atheist people because I truly understand them more than anyone else. And one of the second greatest revelation, connection to God for me was another law of Baha'u'llah, fasting. That was the second most painful thing in my life. Because I my whole life was this body, which I was treated like the throne of my existence. Because this is what made me money. This was my working tool, This is what I was, since very small child, was training day and night. And suddenly, Baha'u'llah tells me that you need to fast. But if I fast, what happens with this body? I cannot afford that. I need to train. I need to be strong. But I surrendered. I wanted to figure out, why is this saying this? Baha'u'llah, what is this? So I just said, okay, I give it a try. 2004, March 2nd. The day when my life completely transformed. Because I went into a 19-day fasting, which is written in the Baha'i writings. Every year, spend these 19 days devoted to your fasting, to surrender, and to go through a physical, mental, spiritual transformation. So I went into that with a big curiosity and with an openness that God, tell me, or Baha'u'llah, tell me, why do I need to do that? And I was praying every day. I living at the time in France because I studied international relations and I did my Erasmus studies there. So I was all by myself there. No one disturbed me. And I did everything as it was written down. Woke up on time, did my prayers, and then throughout the day, I was like a zombie. It felt like I have no more body after a couple of days passed. I became so light. I looked, everything slowed down. I've seen colors I've never seen before. I've seen far away the birds singing. I was like floating, like this, what I mentioned about the Bruce Lee quote, be water, my friend. And I became like that water. And there was no more anger, aggression, anxiety. Everything was a perfect peace. And I said, this is God consciousness. From that time, I do not need any more understanding about the importance of being connected to God. Because ever since I've been in touch with that inner peace, I want to feel that every day. And once you feel that every day, it doesn't matter what's going on in the external world. In fact, the stronger inner peace you have, the more transformation you can bring to the world. Because that world out there is sick. Lack of understanding. It's a dark place. But there are those few people in the world who are light workers, who came here to bring light. Are you one of those? Do you want to be those light workers? It's your choice, your life. And that's when you're truly going to feel happy and joyful, because you feel that you are transforming the lives of others. Because you understand this life is not about me, but about bringing the light, passing on the light. You know, this another beautiful quote from Abdul Baha, I think it's Abdul Baha, who says that we are like these candles. The candle has one purpose. What is the purpose of a candle?
To give light.
To bring light. Now, we need an external force to light the candle. You cannot do it by yourself, right? A candle cannot light itself. We are the same. We need this external force, the words of God, which light ourselves up, and through our life, wherever we go, that one candle, if there's complete darkness in this room, I put down this candle, there's no more darkness. So no matter how terrible the world is, if your candle is lit, you are changing the world. And your candle gives light. And the more candles are lit, which is your responsibility, ladies and gentlemen, because I was introduced to the teachings of God, and my role is the same. I got the remedy for humanity. Now is just the time to pass it on to other people. What you do with that knowledge, it's up to you. But it transformed my life and continuously transforming many people's life. Just because I'm sharing my love of God to everyone else. That's all I can do. I'm nothing. I'm just a servant of God, standing here and sharing my own little truth about the divine truth. Because we all have our own understanding about the same divine truth. You know, when people say, I don't agree with you, it's not about agreeing or not agreeing. We are all going towards the same one truth. We just have a different perception. There is a Hindu story about this, that there is an elephant in a dark room, and there are 4 or 5 people sent into this room to figure out what is in that room. And one guy grabs the tail, the other guy grabs different parts of the elephant, and they come out and everyone has its own idea of what is inside, you know? But it's an elephant. One is saying, oh, this looks like something very tall. The other one, oh, it looks like something like totally different. What are you talking about? So this is the best, this is the worst thing when the speaker is not putting the mobile phone off. So the fun story about this is just understand that there's no really my truth, your truth. There is the one divine truth. And the more we investigate about our own truth, the more we get closer to it, if I am open for going deep and facing your vulnerability, facing your shortcomings, and wanting to truly understand what is this life about. So these are the 2 which I mentioned first, and I finish because I think a break is good. So first one was about knowledge. The second was about devotion. The third one, once I have the knowledge, once I have the devotion, third one is one of the most important, which we all missing out, action, is related to karma yoga, which is the yoga of action. If you are not acting upon what you are devoting, act upon those knowledge, it's just confusing you even more. And you are just creating a bigger mind, which is not going to help us. And the fourth one, and by the way, karma yoga is also not just action, but it's called selfless giving. So when I realize that I need to serve this higher consciousness, when I need to stop focusing on myself and start focusing on the whole. As Paula says, the earth is but one country and mankind its citizens. So we need to get to the point when we understand that most of the things which we see is separation in the world. Everything, different nationalities, races, different religions, these are all separating us. Now Baha'u'llah came to teach us that there is no separation. Separation is death. Unification is life. Where do you belong again? To prove your truth about, but I am, you know. You get angry, and why are you angry? Because I'm Italian. Okay? Now, is that justifying your behavior? You need to go beyond. Or because what I am. You need to go beyond your limitations and see God within yourself so that you can see God within other people. And then fourth is the royal path, which comes It's called Raja Yoga, which comes with the mind-body-spirit connection. It's the practical path of yoga where we practice meditation, breathing, asanas, and ethics of yoga, which is one of them, just to mention out of 10, because also yoga has the 10 commandments. One of them is called ahimsa, which means non-violence. So when I did my yoga teacher training way back, I realized that I cannot harm ever anymore anything in my life. That's why I decided to become vegan. On the day when I heard about these teachings, I just cut out everything in my life and focused on, okay, how can I just have a blueprint behind me which is not harming. And there is another one which is connected so deeply, because for me the greatest teachings are the Baha'i teachings and the yogic philosophy. And there are so many connections, by the way. The more you go into understanding the writings of Baha'u'llah, the more you realize that it's truly, there is one book, which is the book of God, and different chapters in it. So one of the other spiritual teachings which transformed my life of Baha'u'llah is when he says, truthfulness is the foundation of all human virtues. Because I realized when I read that, because I did the study circle, the Ruhi study circle, if anyone know about the Ruhi 1 books. If you don't know about it, you must do that. It's a course, it's all over the world, and through that course, you can truly understand the teachings of God for today. And it's free. The Baha'i community is all around doing these courses for free of charge. It's about 20 hours, 30 hours work spent together in a group. So when I did that in the US, and in the first book it says truthfulness is the foundation of all human virtues. Right away I started to think, okay, so if I want to be kind, if I want to be loving, if I want all those virtues in my life, I need to first be truthful. So I looked back into my life and I see, my God, I'm not truthful in this, I'm not truthful in this, not this. So I need to clear out. So my invitation to all of you is reflect upon your life and see which are those things where you're not truthful. Because we make so much self-justifications just to feel comfortable. One of the most common ones where we are not truthful is within our career. You know? That we are doing something and we become comfortable. And many times we are doing our work for the sake of money. But Abdu'l-Baha says work is worship. So what does that mean? That I need to do something with my career which changes people's life. And if I'm not doing that, I'm wasting my time. I studied to become a diplomat. I learned international relations. I mastered my master's in diplomacy. And then I finished my studies, I became a Baha'i, and then I learned that Baha'is cannot be involved in politics. I said, great! I spent so many years studying about international relations, and now I speak 4 languages. I went to France to study French. I lived in Spain to study Spanish. I did all this hard work, and now what can I do? And I finished with my studies. I got married, and I realized that I want to be a young daddy. But I knew that in Hungary I just cannot do that, because the salaries which I could get, it was like I could work forever. So with my wife, in a couple of days, we took everything which we had, which is basically nothing, our 2 bags, and we left the country and went to Ireland. So that's where our journey together started. And there I started my life, as they could not give me any work. I couldn't knock any doors that, hey, I have a master's degree in diplomacy, please give me a work, right? So I got a job which I could, but I wanted already something truthful, because by then I knew that I only do something truthful. So I found a company which is fundraising for blind people. So I started to walk with my umbrella later on, which I got because I realized that it's raining here a lot, and knocking doors. And out of 20 slammed doors, there was always one person who gave me money for the blind. So that's how my journey started, working in an environment which, after being a student. So, and then I went into an international company where they checked my CV and they said, you must be a tough guy. So you've been doing this knocking doors for 6 months. You must be a very tough guy. So come and join our sales department. So I was working there for 2 years, but then I know that this job is just for a short period of time, because I knew that this is not me. I cannot be truthful in this. So I spent those 2 years to prepare myself to do what I truly love, which is working with people. So while I was working in my office job, 8 to 5, 6 a.m. I started my work training people in the forest. After I finished 5 o'clock, I went to teach salsa, then teaching life coaching, working with life coaching clients, because I invested all my money in developing myself to become a personal fitness trainer, because I love exercise, as you probably understand. Then I wanted to work with people because I love lives and just learning about people's lives, so I did my life coaching certificate. Then I started to investigate about healing because I love to work with healing, so I did my Reiki certificate, so I'm working as a Reiki master with, if you don't know, Reiki is energy healing, which is one of the greatest things everyone should explore. And these are the things which I prepared myself, so now I can be truthful. And we left Ireland, we moved to Malta, and ever since we arrived there, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. And this is what I'm going to do till the end of this physical life. I found my true purpose. And now there is a beautiful community around me who comes every Sunday for my meditation groups. I do Tibetan singing bowl meditation. And this is a great opportunity to teach people about silence, about how to go deep inside. And then the second part is sadhana, which is spiritual teachings. So people can just finally let the ego outside and finally can truly be inspired about the words of God, which I share to people. And many people comes and transform. But I'm committed every Sunday. And for 10 years I'm committed every week, every Saturday, Sunday I'm teaching yoga on the beach. Because people need exercise. And I know that many people don't come because Maltese people are, I don't know if you know, but one of the fattest society is Malta. And people are very much, if it's too sunny, that's the problem. If it's raining, that's the problem. If it's cloudy, that's the problem. There's always a reason why not doing something, So you can imagine how good business being a yoga teacher in Malta. But it's also changing. So what I'm telling you guys as well is start to do your physical exercises every single day. Because that will help you to become more connected to your physical body. And if you are more connected to your physical body, you will be more connected to your energetics. In yoga we say there are three layers of our reality. The first layer is the physical layer, which we all very much connected to, very much addicted to. the flesh and bone. The second layer is the subtle body. The subtle body, which is our energetics. Now most of the people suppress it. If I feel low, I drink coffee. If I feel pain, I put medication instead of understanding what's going on. So this is the energetic, the subtle body, which in Reiki we work with. And then the third layer is the bliss body, which we call it the spiritual layer of your existence. Now, if the energetics are not right, there is a disconnection between the physical and the spiritual. So that's why people are so much stuck in the physical, because the energetics is not taken care of. Energetics can be taken care of by right nutrition, by a good quality of sleep, by exercising every day, hydrating yourself every day, and living your truth. Which means that, I mentioned to you, for example, the career, to know what is the right thing for you to serve the oneness of mankind. Find your way. No matter if you are 70 years old or 50 years old, or no matter what your studies are, doesn't matter. I realized after that, I won't be a diplomat in this political scenario, but I can still become and live as a diplomat of the soul. How much better is that? Serving God is the greatest diplomacy I could ever do. No? Agree?
Yeah.
So, I didn't go much far away from my studies because I'm still a diplomat, but I'm teaching a bit different things. So the fifth one, remember the fourth path of yoga to connect God was the royal path, where we mentioned about the mind, body, spirit, and we mentioned about the spiritual laws. Very important to make sure that you are truthful in everything that you do, and you do not harm, and you are not attached to the physical reality, because it's not true. This is just an illusion. This is a replica of the real stuff. And the real stuff is go beyond the clouds. So I give you a little 5 minutes break. I don't know how much time I have and how much I talked, but then I would like to do a bit of practical stuff. Yes, ask.
Do they pay you? Do you get money only teaching souls?
It depends. I do things which obviously I need to pay the bills. That's my profession. So of course, that's how I make a living. By people coming to, I give service to them. When I teach yoga, I don't teach for free. When I do life coaching, I don't do it for free, because these are all my professional work. But when it comes to Thursday nights, which are devotional prayer nights, it's for free. When we praise God, it's for free. So there are things which, you also need to find the balance between the material and the spiritual. Many times I hear this, that meditation, you should give it for free. And then I ask the person, okay, do you go to work for free? Because it's a good idea, everything should be free. But you know what? I work very hard for helping you to get rid of this. Actually, I think that's worth more than all the other things which people are investing their money in. Because through 4 sessions I do people, they transform their life if they listen. But many people come, they pay, and they think, my life is changed by giving the money. No, you need to work. I'm just giving you instructions and you need to follow. I meet 4 times, that's what I ask from people. I need your attention for 4 weeks. I meet them once a week. And then I give them things which they need to do and assignments, so they can step by step transform. And after 4 sessions, they go out back to their reality, and then we might have some follow-ups later on to see how they are doing. But my purpose in yoga, in massage, in life coaching, in meditation, in name it, whatever I do, is empower people to raise their self-awareness, self-worth, so that they can connect to God and live their life with their fullest potential. So my purpose is not to make me in the center. I want to empower them to connect what I'm connecting to. That's my greatest role, and it's everyone's role.
Thank you. Okay, so we have 5-minute break.